Yo. I decided. You decided? What did you decide? Tell me. Talk to me. Lay it on me. What's going on? Oh, dude. I decided that every decision that I make, every opportunity that lies before me in life, I'm going to make the best possible decision. What does that look like? What does that entail? That I'm going to put my best foot forward. You see, there is an ego that exists out there, a selfish version of all of us. There's somebody inside of us that is constantly only looking for their own small personal wins. And when you step back or when you zoom in, you know, and you look at us, you look at each human being, each individual as a single cell within a bigger structure. You soon come to realize how much of what your behavior is. I'm not gonna involve you. I'm gonna stick to I statements. I'm not gonna drag you into my shit and just assume that you're like this. You know, I realized how cancerous of a cell I've become. You know, it doesn't, you know, it's all about, you know, the bigger structure, the structure at large, it didn't matter. It only ever mattered my own personal freedoms. And oftentimes, I wouldn't even really be able to tell you what it was all for, you know? Why did I need to be first in line? Why couldn't I let that guy merge? Why do I need to do this now, you know? Cancerous. And not only that, but just not doing things even in my own benefit, dude. This is why religion is such a powerful narrative tool. I'm not an Orthodox Christian or really a devout follower of any particular religion, but I do recognize that the most helpful, I don't know why people subscribe to religions in the first place. Like specific ones. I think that's a topic that I'll get into in a minute. But what I'm trying to say is that religion is like shorthand information. You take the various characters that are in the stories of religion. If you read the stories, if you study the stories, if you have an understanding of the stories, you can describe a lot of life in a little word. I say Judas, you say betrayal. That's a whole load of stories. If you know the word betrayal, you've encountered the pattern of betrayal, the behavior of betrayal in life. And it's like this with all of the small nuances and subtleties of religion. But anywho, what I wanted to really get towards is that in my own life, I don't want to be a Bible thumper here, but how much I was really serving the devil, serving the sort of temptatious voice in my mind. The one that dude, the devil is an enabler. And we all have a devil in our mind. We all have an enabler in our mind. Yes. The devil. Oh, God. I never thought I'd be the person out here talking about the Lord Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ! We love you! Jesus Christ! And we do. We freaking do. Of course. All praise due to Allah. Left, right, come together. Wu-Tang is forever. I decided that every decision that I would be making would be one that is good. I decided this. There is a voice in the mind, the enabler. It says, do that thing you know is not good for you. Just do it. Come on. Who cares? Who really cares? Who is willing to try to save our world? Yeah. I decided, I wanted to make this voice memo. I wanted to make this talk here. I wanted to do something creative. My intention making this was to dive deep into my personal experience of what it is like to be a young man in his... Hey, dude, you know what? As long as we're living, we're in our prime, dude. When I was a 6-year-old, I was in the prime of my life. When I was a 19-year-old, I was in the prime of my life. When I was a 13-year-old, I was in the prime of my life. Okay, probably less so, being a 13-year-old, the specific 13-year-old that I was, but still, the potential to be living in my prime was still there. I just wasn't maximizing my opportunities at the time. 21, 22-year-old in my prime. 26 right now. Same deal, prime. When I'm 50, I'm still going to be in my prime. I'm always going to be in my prime. As long as I'm alive, I have the opportunity before me to live my life in my prime. You're not limited. You're not limited by your physical capabilities. Each epoch of your life provides you a different wheelhouse of skills. I came on here and I wanted to be intentional. I wanted to make something wise. I wanted to make something useful. I wanted to take my experience and distill it and reduce it. Let's not say reduce. I wanted to take it and distill it. I wanted to make something potent. Take my experience, turn it to words. Englishify, languageify my experience. And my intention on here was to get to know myself. That's one. 2 would be to calibrate in general, Hey, dude, I'm a blind person. Okay? Obviously I have eyeballs. My senses all working properly and whatnot, but We're human beings. We live in the third dimension. I don't know if you know this, but I'm not even with the woo-woo, whatever, all this. The third dimension, that's like, if anything, that's only the things that are, above ground. That's like the mushroom, the fruiting body of experience. Everything that we can see, that's standing on the shoulders of giants. All these underground networks. It's merely the green pipe in a Mario map. That's what the third dimension is. Look at that green pipe. It's a whole world underneath that. And I just wanted to get on here and I wanted to share my experience and all of these things in the hopes to awaken you, via cautionary tales, by way of my personal experience and particular take on life as I have lived it and as I am living it. For example, one of the biggest pitfalls a human being can fall into on this planet, in their life, in their lifetime, is falling prey to materialism. You get a new pair of Air Force Ones. They're crisp. They're clean. They look amazing. So beautiful. Next thing you know, you can't even wear them. You don't even want to wear them. You have these beautiful things. They costed you the time. They costed you the energy. They costed a certain amount of money and resources. And all of a sudden, it turns to soot while you have it. You don't have it, and all of a sudden things are okay. It's just a shoe. No one gives a fuck. You don't give a fuck. Now you have this thing, and your whole MO, your whole mission statement becomes about how do I preserve the durability and the the structural integrity of this object. It is so freaking, it's so pretty, it's so nice. I just want it to be like this forever. And we take this thing that has like a year, maybe like, I don't know. I don't know. I've had some shoes for a decade. I'm not gonna lie to you. I've had some shoes that have lasted me a decade long at this point. But I say this because I have experienced this in my own life. Apparently and obviously, very clearly. Materialism. And it's not just shoes. It's all these sorts of things. We can get into a kind of pattern of life where the things that we, if we are the Christmas tree, we get so caught up in the ornaments, man. All these things that dude, what I'm trying to say is these things that we own, if we're not careful, these things that we own, these things that we possess, can very easily own us, possess us. Dude, I'm in the era of my life where I'm combating the patterns and habitual ruts in my own mind. For instance, I think to myself, "Oh, I don't want to go out and wear that shoe. It's too nice. I don't want to put creases in it. I don't want to get it all dirty. It looks so nice right now, I'd rather keep it like that or sell it and just not even have it anymore. I swear to you, I can't put myself into the frame of mind of this thing losing value. Actively losing value, man. Depreciating before my very eyes. Being intentional. Becoming present once more. Pulling myself back into the moment of things. Hey, do you think that we finally put a pin in the materialism topic? No, I don't. I mean, there is a lot of life out there dedicated solely to the obtaining of things. And it's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy. It's an addiction that a lot of people don't talk about. And it's deep. It's not just, oh man, I want these white Adidas track pants, dude. It's not about the track pants that you want. It's that the things that you do have, you're not satisfied with. The things that you do have, you at one point you wanted them, and then at another point, apparently that ran dry, and the things that you wanted were no longer enough anymore. And so you had to get that requiem for a dream, heroin hit. And it's, what is the answer? What's the answer, Sway? You ain't got the answer, Sway. I like some of the Gaga songs. What the fuck does she know about cameras? Look at Gaga. She's the creative director, Polaroid. I like Gaga. What the fuck does she know about cameras? Love you, yay. Do you got the power to let power go? I came on here because I had an intention. And I feel like in this moment, I'm digging in the sand very close to the water line. And every time I dig to uncover something, I get there, I get to like a piece of it, I get to like scratch the surface of it, and then the waves wash over and the surge pulls back, and there's sand that just, it just keeps piling into the hole, and I'm like, fuck. I want this thing to be uncovered more and more. And it's... And so I try, okay? I try. I want to start this off, and I want to say, si se puede. I want to say, you can do it. God damn it, because this is a reminder to me. This is my reminder to myself that for all the things that I still want, for all the goals that I still, want to apply myself to, and I wake up in the morning and I love life. Even though I have things that I'm bettering my relationship with myself and in my own life. That much is so true. And so for all the things that I'd still like to do, and all the things that I'm still, on track of doing, I don't always enjoy it every moment of every day with the sort of like ecstasy of problems. Good, just I'm not. I'm never fully Candy Kingdom, Candy Citizen, Adventure Timed out. I'm never just fully jubilee and jolly to the nth dimension anymore. And that's okay. But regardless, this right here, this was a message to say, hey, dude, this is driving Miss Daisy, dude. I'm so focused on the road, the concrete in front of me, that, I look in the rear view mirror and I see what I passed on the journey. I see, the people in the back seat that are in the ride with me. And I feel like Jay-Z, son. I want to cry, but I'm going to make the song cry, ho. You get me? I'm not going to cry right now. I feel tears of gratitude coming. I just feel eternally grateful for my position, my situation, the life that I've got to experience thus far, and the kind of mystical magic, just the otherworldly, just loving life, man. Loving life, even if it comes out in a weird way. That much is true. And I just want to say, right here, I'm giving myself the goddamn flowers, son. I have done things in my life, conquered things that I never thought were possible. I have I'm swear to God, the algorithm, you build this shit brick by brick. Grand Theft Auto, you make your character level 300. You blast that dude out to the max. Make him the best fucking guy in the whole world. He's got all the shit. He's got the clothes. He's got the cars. He's got the power. He's got anything he needs. He can just do. Sandbox living. You max your character out. My life. Just like how you've done on Instagram. Just like you've done on YouTube. Brick by brick. All the decisions that you make, dude, all the decisions that you make when it comes to sort of tailoring and, being very particular about the decisions that you make when you're curating. You're curating your social media experience. I do this with my whole fucking life, okay? And every day I get just a little bit better. Somewhere, I get a little bit fucking better at curating my own goddamn life outside of the cell phone.
Split 3.
Right? It's so easy. It's so easy. It's so simple. It might not be easy, but it is simple. You curate your social media experience. You see something, all of a sudden, things are brought to you by the algorithm. You see something, you don't like it. You start trying to affect what you're going to see in the future by not, you scroll really fast on that thing. Or maybe you hit the little hamburger button and say, not interested. You do what you can to see less of that. And then the things that you do like maybe it's hopecore or softcore or, yes, maybe it's get off dopamine, one of those channel waves. Get off dopamine channel. And you say, yes, I'm interested. So they send you more of those. I do this with my real life. Things that have made me feel better about experiencing life, I have done more of these things. Things that lead me to live a sort of hell-like existence, I do less of these things. And over time, my experience just gets better and better and better. And I feel less numb. I feel less... You see, I don't know your particular experience with cold weather, but I've got a lot of experience with cold weather. I've had a lot of experience sort of enduring cold weather with poor, weather protection. And so my arms would be exposed to the cold weather, and all of a sudden it's like you don't realize your body is a machine until the hardware is affected. This is what aging is about. This is what growing up is about. You kind of realize the sort of relationship between your mind and your body. Your body, up until a certain point, it feels invincible. It feels like it's the most adequate thing possible in the whole world. There's no issues with it. Until all of a sudden you start realizing that your body is the hardware that moves you around in the world. Partially. Your body, man. Rock your body. And so in that cold weather, dude, the cold weather on my arms, all of a sudden, my grip strength is dwindling. I'm trying to grab things, but I just can't, dude. Whatever sort of signals my brain is sending through my arms to my hands, it's just not, dude, I can't will that kind of horsepower into my life. What you do with that, I'm not picky. You can do whatever you want with that piece of information. Some people will take that and they'll think their whole mission objective is to be David Goggins. That any and every point at which the human being can suffer, they will take that route. Oh, good. I can't grab things anymore. I'm going to stay in the cold weather and I'm going to deal with this thing until I don't know, okay? Until you're smashing your hands and your arms against the door of the prison in the Ex Machina movie, Those AI were like, get out of here! And, they didn't give a fuck about pain. They just were like, I'm trapped. Fucking help. Ah! And they're smashing until their hardware is just destroyed. Jesus Christ. Morbid scene. Other people will take that as a signal to get the fuck out of where they are, where they're at. Oh, it's cold here. Looks like my body's stopped. It's no longer working the way it should. Well, I'm getting these signals. Well, I guess. Well, it looks like it's time to leave. I came on here with the intention of pulling more out of myself. The rawest, the realest, the truest truths. I knew in my heart of hearts this would kind of be a tossing of laterals, It wouldn't be just this one infinite upward scaling structure. Something easily scalable. But that I'd jump from, various plot point to various plot point. I think about money. I think about making it. I think about my calling, our calling. What's the purpose? What is the truth? What is enlightenment and seeing the world for what it is? What is true awakening and what is merely waking up into another dream? Inception style. You think you're awake? Ploop! Guess what, ho? Bamboozled, bitch! And then, what would the point be? Here's one. Translucent within your life are a whole number of things that hold you back, restrict you, and stop you from doing anything and everything. My mission statement, just my stubbornness, my headstrong nature, just especially very heavily focused in the last few days is just merely behaving in a way that is just opening the gates to the things that have restricted me, giving myself the validation giving myself the ticket, the A-OK, the check mark. You know? Releasing myself of the inhibitions. Releasing myself from all these sorts of restrictions and strings and you know, arbitrary sort of like tracts. You know, that's what I've been doing. I mean, I noticed the pattern of what it is to grow up. You grow up, and what happens is you start patterning the world. You start putting things into, oh, I can anticipate this because this is what it's like, you know? I think that sometimes it's helpful and sometimes it's a limiting factor, and I think that you take it moment by moment. For example, I'm looking over here at the street. I'm thinking of the lines in the asphalt, right? Lanes for cars, you know? Lanes are relatively helpful, right? You know, especially when there's a whole load of people and we're all trying to go wherever we're trying to go. And it helps us sort of organize and anticipate, and that's good and well sometimes. Other times, it's like something that hasn't been cleaned in a long time. It's something that we take as reality, you know? And so I'm at a point in my life where for a long time, a lot of these sorts of things have been building up. Kanye West, he talks about the coffee table. You know, when a kid is a kid, you know, he's a superhero. He's playing, you know, he's Superman in his mind. He jumps on the coffee table, and that's like his WWE top rope, you know, platform at which to jump from. Or, you know, he uses it in all these unconventional, creative, innovative ways. And depending on who is in his life, you know, they will restrict him, and they'll try and tell him what a coffee table's really for, or they're there as an audience member, a witness to the raw creative potential of the universe playing and displaying itself in that way. Generational curses, man. People out there suffering, and what they do is, it hurts so bad, they just have nothing else to do but to sort of just try and push that suffering off of themselves to relieve themselves. And, you know, it ends up trickling down generation to generation, dude. This is the story in the Bible of Cain, dude. Yeah, basically, yeah. The curses, yeah, they're gonna go down. They're gonna travel 7 times worse for each generation. You know, after me, it's gonna fuck them up, dude. Fuck them up. Fucking it up. I'm talking spiritual battles, man. I'm talking the powers that be. Dude, I'm thinking no one out there in their whole life wants a slave owner. No one else in their entire life wants somebody to tell them what to do. Okay, here's the thing. I don't want to have blanketed statements like always or never. But I mean, there are outliers. There's there are some instances where always and never do exist. And those are real realities. But always and never are liminal spaces. Okay? Always and never sort of... If you always wake up in the morning at 5 a.m. regardless of nothing, and you never take a day off, it doesn't exempt you from the potentiality of you changing one day. Even though you always do something, and you said you would never stray from it, it doesn't exclude the all-pervading potentiality of something new blooming and blossoming within that always, within that never. It comes at it from it, it skewers it from a different sort of dimensional plane. I love thoughts like that. It allows me to see the universe from an alternate kind of perspective. A perspective that I wasn't aware existed until that very moment of the flash projected image of, whoa, holy, whoa. Fascinating. Do it again. Do the roar. Do the roar. I'm a dude that's trying to make it. Do you know how infuriating that is? Do you know how infuriating it is to have faith in your heart of hearts and beyond that the only thing, the only way to win in life is to bring yourself into the present moment and to feel life for what it feels like, where you are, as you are, while it's happening right now. You're not living for a future moment, right? To believe in your heart of hearts, the kind of faith. Have faith. In the gift that is the present moment, that the only place in which you can affect life and change life, have anything at all is right now and the present moment, just eternally, just the present moment eternally, and having faith in such that, and then the fucking pull of, I have yet, dude, I'm digging around in some kind of psychological, mental wound of mine, and I'm out here wiggling my finger around in the wound hole. That's what good, macaroni style, just finagling around in the wound, trying to find the silver bullet that's in there that's stopping me from healing. I'm a dude that's trying to make it. What the hell does that even mean? Right? I'm trying very hard to balance out what the hell is realistic and what is actually real. They say, be realistic. I say, fuck that. Dude, I don't care, okay? I'm trying very, very hard to see life only through the perspective of faith. I'm trying very hard to see life only from the perspective of trusting. And here's why, okay? Because, I'll go, dude, I went to the courthouse yesterday to go pay off a citation that I got for speeding in a school zone. I'm sorry, I didn't know that I was in a school zone. I was in a place where, where I didn't know the location of. I just came from selling off a whole bunch of scrap metal. So I was in a place that I didn't know very well. All of a sudden, I'm driving. And then I see this cop, he whips out, dude, he fucking pulls that thing out like he's got quick draw. Pulls that radar out, deep, gets me, and then he says, yo, whoop, 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 flags me down. Anyways, I was there, I was very cordial, I was very respectful, I was very demure, mindful, whatever. He and I connect, we're okay, things are all right. Good intentions all around, just being a good person, not trying to fucking lie to this dude. He's not trying to fucking make my world atrocious or anything like that. And, we see eye to eye. He gives me not even a slap on the wrist. He just says, yo, and I say, hey. And then we're like, okay. And so we move on about our day. This $110 citation turns into a $10 one. Because reasons, we knock this $110 thing down to a $10 thing, and I go to the courthouse, and I figure it out. Long story long, while I'm in the courthouse, I'm not just there, sitting in the courthouse room, waiting to pay this thing, just, looking around, the people around. There's a whole sort of, storyline going along, like, who am I here? Who are the people around me here? What are we in this moment of things? How do I even sort of perceive what the hell is going on, what is happening in the heat of the moment of things? Oh, do I take this seriously? Oh, do I not take anything seriously? Do I not take my life seriously at all? What is God? Who is God? What is these feelings? Oh my God, how interesting is it that all these people around me in this fucking room right now, how strange is it that I feel like I know them, or that they remind me of people that I have had experiences with before? Why is that? What is that? How is it that the people in this room that I have never seen in my life beforehand at all, ever, these are the first time I'm encountering these people, why do they feel like they have some kind of insignia, soul signature stamped on them by the way that they, their skin is, the way that they did their hair, the way that they smell, the clothes that they decided to put on, the ways that, this person crosses their legs or sits, or, their various mannerisms and gestures. Strange. These people remind me of people I have had experiences with. Faith, trust. How much of the thing, this thing that I'm experiencing in my life, do I take on? Do I apply myself? Do I apply to my skin like a sunscreen? I just put it like a topical cream, just apply it on me. And just sort of trust fall into the experience versus how much will I fight that, right? If that is the experience that I am having, the one that is interesting, soul insignias. This is what I want to talk about. Soul insignias. This is the kind of thing that gets you labeled with mental illness. This is a big plot point of where my initial trauma came from. My initial trauma was, oh, God, help me. Lord, please don't make me the black sheep. Please don't make me the nail that gets the fucking hammer. You know, going into the slammer, getting put into a psych ward, getting called crazy. You know, now you have a label that goes with you everywhere. You know, if you get a background check, that's going to be on there. It's going to limit your perceived value. You know, it's going to make you discredit yourself. You're not going to trust any of the things going on within you. You're going to start, you know, policing your own sort of behavior. Anything that you believe or anything that's going on, you're just going to say, fuck it. I don't know if it's worth going to that place anymore. I'm just going to shut the fuck up. I'm going to sit down, shut the fuck up, and listen. Oh yeah, that juice ain't worth the squeeze no mo. That's for sure. That's for sure, ain't it, shoddy? You know, so having this kind of experience in the goddamn courthouse, right? Oh my God, all these people around me, I love them, dude. I know them, dude. Oh my God, dude, we spent so much freaking time together. And how much of that do I believe in? Versus how much of everything that I'm experiencing is always new. I don't know shit. I don't know nobody. And I just treat everybody like a goddamn stranger, like I'm meeting them for the first time, like I have no experiences of the world at all whatsoever. Like I'm a tabula rasa, just clean slate, new. Ridiculous. Okay, so I'm sitting here battling the kind of world, the tug of war world that I'm living in, that is like, oh dude, what is culturally normal for a 2026 faring American person, right? You know, culturally, you know, the spiritual norm is whenever you meet somebody, you pretend like you're meeting them for the first time. Hi. And you do things very cookie cutter. Hi, I am so-and-so and such and such. You come off very square. You come off very clean, You come off very clean. You don't, dude, you make yourself palatable. You shut yourself off from ever potentiating any kind of meaningful relationships with anybody ever. You say that you make it out to be that all your relationships are there to be transactional. You make it out, you behave in such a way that all the relationships you encounter are there only to serve a purpose, only to get some task done. That the people that were sitting on those pews with me, they were merely just people paying off fines and citations because we were all fucked up. We were all fucking up in some kind of way, and now we owe the man money. You know, that's the sort of hellscape storyline to that one. That the people behind the glass in those instances, they're just slaves, just there, just fucking doing some shit that they don't want to do for an absorbent amount of time that they don't want to spend where in a place where they don't want to do it. And they're living out not their dreams, but just running away from nightmares. And, you know, whatever. And the ways that we treat each other in our relationships to one another is that I am that person's job, right? I am that person's job in an instance, man. They're there to serve, you know, they're there to perform a task, and I'm there to clear off, something. So the man, the government, the powers that be, the people that I don't want to fucking have on my back so they don't come to my house and put me in cuffs. Hey, you owe this shit. Come get it. Come give it. Well, I am enlightened. I'm enlightened. People hate hearing that shit. That's for one. They're like, how can you be so stupid? You're not allowed to say that, retard. You can't say you're enlightened. What do you know about anything at all? Well, I know about restrictions, I know about fears, and I know that if I'm put in prison, or I know that if I'm put somewhere where my body, it's sort of, it's limited. I'm put in a room where they say, you can't get out, and they lock the doors, and it's like, okay, whatever. In such an event that happens, I know that I'd be okay, right? That I can be put into a straitjacket, and as long as I don't feel the compulsion to break free from it, I can be okay. I know that the suffering of being in a straitjacket comes from your desire to get out of it. The more you want to break free from the circumstances and the situation of the straitjacket, that's where your pain comes from. That's where your suffering comes from. And so, yeah. I know that in the worst scenarios of life, if I'm ever placed within those, that I would be okay. And for me, that is incarceration. Oh, we got to put you in a mental institute. You fucking loon. You know too much. Can't let you spread this message. You're going to destroy our system. This gets out? Holy hell. Yeah, too many people are going to live like you, and then that's just not good for all of us. I like going to Publix and being able to buy the croissants that somebody felt obligated to wake up at 4 a.m. to go to some place to go make them. Why? Because they wanted to live in a house, dude. They wanted shelter. And so they thought, dude, there's no way I can live on the street, dude. If I live on the street... It's because we're programmed, bro. We're programmed. We're all afraid of poverty. We're afraid to be that dude just out there standing on the median in the middle of the street. Nobody wants to be that goddamn guy. And the reason why we do all of the things that we do is like we make this sort of unconscious choice between the lesser of two evils. Yep, I pretty much don't want to be that guy who kind of looks a little dirty, maybe a little sweaty, maybe like he smells funky. And he just stands on the median and he's got wiry hair, and I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be that guy in any sort of capacity, at any contexts. In any contexts. And so I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to go wake up at 4 a.m. and go make croissants for the men and the women. And throughout my day, I'm going to think to myself, this sucks, But, we're people, and so we look for the light, like hatching baby blind sea turtles. We look for the light. And so, even amidst the darkness, we find things that are okay. Sometimes we'll have a glimmer where someone will make a positive impact on our day. We'll feel touched by something that they said or a gesture that they did, and we feel a strange sense of love or connection. It's a beautiful thing. We found love in a hopeless place. Found love in a hopeless place. Well, I get one life, boy. I'm on my Roy shit right now, man. I'm seriously on my Roy shit. I'm off the grid. I ain't got no social security. You feel me? And I'm out here. I want to push the envelope as much as I can. But definitely not to the point of just being a contrarian for being, a contrary. Not, I fucking hate contrarians, bro. I hate people that just arbitrarily break rules. It's like, you don't need to be a rebel and a rule breaker just for the fuck of it. You don't... What are you doing? Why are you doing that? That's so annoying. I think I'm more in love with the idea of controlled demolition. If something is helpful, okay? I'm not mad at scaffolding for how repetitive it is. I'm not mad at repetitive, predictable 4x4 beats. It's like you can build, it's a good foundation you can build some good shit upon. I'm not about being Picasso, abstract, absurdist, just for the fuck of it, dude. I'm not out here wanting and just, going against, dude, oh my God, remember like middle school, early high school? Those people who would just be kind of on the fringes, they'd be weird, the weirdos. Hey, shout out to the weirdos. I liked you, but at the time, I didn't, okay? You guys were just boisterous, weird, and rowdy for no reason at the time. Like, I think you gotta do these things within reason, man. I think that's what maturity is. Dude, I'd be out there just having a normal ass experience, and some weirdo would be would be with their weirdo friends, and they would all just sort of have like a testosterone contest, like who, even if they were the girls with the short hair, fatness, and hairy legs, even if they were those, though of that archetype. Just the testosterone, just being in a group, being rowdy. Who can be the most rowdy? Who's willing to go touch the butt? I never signed up to be the fucking butt. Why the hell are you coming up and touching me? My take on it. Anyways, we've all been a part of this. We've all had this sort of experience. Being in a group and who can be the most asshole of the group. Because that's our sort of like that's our dick measuring contest. Who can be the biggest asshole of the group? And I will show you it is me. I will show you my asshole. Take a gander. Why don't you? Gaping is it. And so I'm still in the courthouse, goddammit. Still in the courthouse. And reality is, my take on reality is, reality is as you perceive it to be. What the fuck does does Lady Gaga know about cameras? You know, why is our interpretation as a group of what reality is? Why is it this, why is it only the things that are on the surface level, Yes, what the hell, like, it is so strange, like, from person to person, we're always sort of like looking to one another for like a confirmation so we can like build upon a shared reality of things. And so because we're always looking to another as like sort of monkeys in a barrel, just sort of trying to interlock arms so we can construct a reality that we're all a part of in this way, because of that, we sort of just kind of like, fuck it, let's all just sort of live off of and believe in a kind of reality that is very mundane, right? And that because of that, it leads to depression. It leads to like, what the fuck is this? It leads to discomfort. It leads to just sort of like being something that you're not for the sake of I don't know. But what I do know is we sacrifice a lot. Okay? We sacrifice creativity. We sacrifice innovation. We sacrifice the bizarre world. We sacrifice intuition and the sort of knowing, the gut feeling, the sort of knowing Gnosticism of the body, the body's understanding of the world. We sacrifice that a lot of times for whatever the mind's interpretation of the world, whatever the intellect's interpretation of the world, whatever the operation function of logic. We take these structures and we're like, yes, let's mathematify the world. If I can, we want to make things very concrete, especially when it comes to our communications with one another. And so reality it ends up being something that we don't even want to participate in anyways. It becomes something empty, meaningless, and arbitrary. It becomes texting somebody and, you're always just kind of brushing up against how you really feel. And what ends up happening is you will end up stuck in a feeling where it's more or less like this. Someone will say, how are you? And you'll say, not great, but I can't complain. It's always a kind of like, I feel like shit, but you know how it is. There's never a point where we get to just own and actually just sort of fucking, dude, I feel like shit. What the fuck is going on? I hate my goddamn life. I hate my circumstance. We never say any of this. No one ever says any of this. A lot of people don't say anything like this. A lot of people feel very, very, very attached to their feelings. Like, to the point where, they say, dude, if I actually say that, then I don't even know, dude. I feel like if I actually say that in my life, it'll manifest somehow. Or if I say it, then it's even more real. And then what? Well, I pray my experience helps you. I know perception is key, so I am keen. Ooh, ah, ooh, ah. What's your perspective on that? Pop. 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 The rich gonna eat the rich. The ground gonna open up and swallow the evil. That's what I said, man. My word is born. Gonna be so fat, appetizing. Man, all we got left is vibrations, man. Sometimes I get on the mic, I don't even know what kind of energy I'm gonna push out. Freak the shit out of me sometimes. We ain't even really rapping, man. We just letting our old homies, dead homies tell stories for us. You know, and so I think that the reality of the modern man, I think that the reality of the fallen man, you know, the man that exists, you know, post sin, is, you know, the man that lives, that has been cast out of Eden. He lives a sort of existence where, you know, he doesn't have faith. You know, he can't even trust upon the reality that he's viewing life from. He's like, you know, he sort of lives his life kind of like, you know, diagonally to the, you know, the life that he's perceiving it as. Like, he's like, you know, he lives a world where it's all too internal, and he's like, yep, this is my inner dimension. And then he's got a whole world that's like, well, this is my outer world. This is my suit and tie, you know, stand up straight. Yes, sir. No, sir. I'm good kind of life. Two different worlds. And there's this whole sort of spiritual battle going on. Is it between good and evil? I don't know. So much as I believe that it's kind of like, you know, it's a world of ignorance versus a world of skepticism and curiosity. You know? There's a child out there who has an innate knowing. You know, he trusts upon the way that he views the world. Because why would he not? It's God-given. He is made in that way. There's nothing that he has to question. He doesn't question himself about him questioning the world. He sees something weird, he looks at it. He says, that's weird. He doesn't think to himself, oh, it's weird that I think that's weird.
Split pace.
He doesn't think to himself, oh, that's weird, I think that's weird. He doesn't have this kind of feedback loop that growing old, growing numb, going against yourself time and time again, you know, that kind of mental disorder, what that'll do to you. There's a battle between skepticism, curiosity, the curious skeptic, and the sort of, you know, willfully ignorant. Dude, there's a whole world of people going against everything that they think is right. And they just push forward, you know, fuck it, dude. Just, you know, 2008 market crash. Dude, just say, dude, it doesn't matter, dude. Just say that it's a AAA backed fucking thing, dude. Just say that it's good. Doesn't matter, dude. We'll get more money. We'll get will get more reward and less. We'll get more gooder and less badder if you just say it's more gooder. So put the triple kachingo in there, and then just fucking, let tomorrow worry about itself, stupid. Jesus. Can't you learn to live? Can't you learn how to let go? God, I'm telling you, battle between right and wrong. If you become the person further down the line of dominoes that just can't call out some horse shit that's happening, we're compromised. As a whole unit, dude, I'm telling you, it is the nuclear reaction. It is the chain reaction of just... Dude, if you've ever seen Oppenheimer, they make it very clear to you the sort of uncertainty behind this whole thing. Now that nuclear bombs have gone off, we know that there's a point at which they stop detonating and combusting the atmosphere. But before this, they did not know the sort of limitations that this sort of explosive device, this explosive invention would happen, dude. Oppenheimer, he goes to goddamn Einstein in there. He's like, yo, according to the math, I think that if we detonate this thing, there's a, what do you think is the potential percentage of this thing igniting the entire atmosphere of Earth and just killing, just destroying, annihilating, dissolving all life, besides amoebas and cockroaches? What is the percentage of that? What's your perspective on that, Albert? And they didn't know. And so they gambled. They took a chance. They're like, yeah, okay, fuck it. I mean, if we... let's just see, right? Let's just find out. If we did... And so they took a chance. They gambled. They said, hey, blow up this nuke. Hey, yeah, there's a chance that this'll... There's a chance that this thing doesn't have an end. There is no borderline. There is no boundary at which the explosiveness just stops. Okay? And so it's like this with people, dude. If no one out there stands up and calls out, is skeptical, is curious, is willing to say anything about the strangeness of the goings-on of life, then I'm telling you, bro, we're gonna be living in a bad state. Constantly second-guessing ourselves. Meanwhile, all while that's happening, we are deteriorating. And we're letting the veil be pulled right over our eyes. Why? Because the triple kachingo, the AAA sort of guaranteed indulgences, man. Our tickets to heaven. We're buying our tickets to heaven, son. We can go to heaven. I have invested heavily into this. I bought you a ticket. I bought your sister a ticket. We're all going to heaven. We all got our spots. All dogs go to heaven. This is what a man fucking thinks, bro. This is reality, okay? They say in the story, they're like, yo, what is the Tao? The everyday mind is the Tao. How would you put your finger, how would you describe this talk that has been given thus far? Perhaps you'd say manic, maybe you'd say enlightening, maybe you'd say fascinating, interesting, intriguing, sporadic, out of control, a little everywhere. This is impromptu. I'm on a walk. I don't have notes. This is as a man thinks. This is reality. This is a display of what reality is. It was so many places, and it came out in so many ways. It's like reality is not this kind of thing that you can put into cute little 90-degree packets, like how common relationships will be. And and I'm telling you, the idea that I really want to stress is that if you want base reality, to be good again, it's like you have to clear your ears of everything. The Tao Te Ching, it says, taste masks the flavor. Sights blind the eye. Sensations numb the sensation, numb the feeling. All of the sort of sensory inputs that are taken in, they blind you. They point in some other direction. They lead you away from what it actually is. What am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that relationships are tricky, man. Relationships are like funky, dude. Everybody wants to get into a relationship. Everybody wants to have amazing relationships. What do you sacrifice? What do you sacrifice to be in a relationship? What part of reality does not get atomized? What part of, if your mind as it is the entire universe in its entirety, all of its potentialities and everything. A relationship is like one. A relationship is so much of that. How much overlap in your relationships do you have with the entirety of the potential of what the universe can be? Versus, what it can be in your relationships. What do you sacrifice for these relationships? What do you sacrifice of the universe to have such and such relationships? And it's like, I just see out there so many people just fucking, dude, men suck, women suck, and this is the point where it's not their fault. It's my fault. These are the people who I'm not satisfied with in my life. And for whatever reason, it's like, God damn it, I wish you were better. It's like, well, I can't blame you for not meeting my specifications. And I'm not going to hinder you or make it your problem that you don't fit into my life in a... Hey, man. I know the punishment for you is that you're not with me. Yeah, I know. Narcissistic, freaking self-centered, and all this. But whatever, bro. Whatever, girl. I know what I bring to the table. I know my value as a as a sort of life-giving Juan Ponce de Leon fountain of youth. Like, I am Dude, I am invaluable. I'm telling you. This is a well that does not run dry. Until I die. Until I die, I will be uttering various nutritious slimes and oozes, various nutritional liquids in which you will drink, and they will have buff-like effects. They will have voodoo-like qualities. Take this, and vampires will no longer. This will imbue your life with some crazy shit that'll keep the vampires at bay. Keep the vampires from becoming your bae. Keep the vampires away from ruining your fucking day. Just out here. So I came on here with the intention of making something. I wanted to pull out the essence of what it is to be a human being. And that is art to me. This is artistry. It's like, what is art? Well, art is life. Art is art is life. Life is art. Life imitates art. Art imitates life. It's these things. It's and we live in a time, right? Artists, innovators, visionaries, these people, it's not ridiculous, right? It's not ridiculous, but it's crazy, because these are the people that get attention are the people that point out the ways that reality actually is. And why this is seen as brave is our problem as a society, as we know it, okay? We don't live in some Star Trek time where we are, post-problematic. Like we are in the middle of a civil war. Like, people are in battle. People are battling other people. Classism, okay? Like, there are people out there with abundances, and there are people, and they want the abundances, and then there are people in squalor. They've got nothing, and rich get richer, poor get poorer. The people, the haves and have-nots. And it's like, in Star Trek, it's like communism that works, right? It's like, everybody's got their share. Everybody's got what they want. Everybody's got what they need. There's enough to go around. Fucking, we have the ability to communicate our problems and, dedicate ourselves to the solution in, a kind of cordial, helpful, useful way. We rely on our ability to problem solve together. We cherish each other. We value each other. And we live, what the reality of the world is? The reality of the world is, I get mine, and you can get some, but as long as I get mine, we're okay. And everybody's sort of operating, within this kind of hula hoop of, I got to figure out me and mine, okay? I've got a mouth to feed, and it is this one. My thumb is pointing right back in me. I've got a mouth to feed, this one. That's it, all right? And we're all just so focused on our little cones of survival, looking down, that's what we apply our entire lives to. Our entire energy process is, how do I just figure out this one fucking life? That's it. This one life, this is all I care about. And because our minds are dedicated and pointed in the direction of just this little goal, this selfishness, it takes away from everything else. I'm telling you, okay? Where your attention goes, your energy flows, this kind of thing. If you spend your time working at at Walmart. You spend your time working at Wawa for 12 hours a day, okay? That is 12 hours a day compounded over a long period of time where you're not doing other things, okay? And you think that you think that that's just a temporary sacrifice? It's not, okay? You can't multitask. As much as you think that you can multitask, you can't. Okay? If you had to focus any of your energy on any sort of lesser goals, the bigger goals just don't get gotten to. And if they ever do, we're not hitting any sort of PRs, okay? If you're out here doing all the sort of ancillary chest work, like you're hitting the flies. You're hitting the flies real quick. Oh, you're doing dips beforehand. You're not gonna hit that bench press PR. Okay, and it's like that with our lives too. If your life ends up being some kind of dedication to all of the 2-minute tasks that you have to do, if I ever see something and if it takes me less than 2 minutes, I just do it. Your whole life just becomes about doing all these goddamn little side quests forever, right? I'm just going to feed the one mouth in front of me. We never, ever get to focus on bigger picture goals because we just don't get to it. Our energy is drained. You know, by the time we get to it, it ends up being this fucking Himalayan mountain, Mount Kilimanjaro, that we stand at the base of, and we're like, yeah, well, I mean, I would do that, but I did all that other shit before, so I'm just kind of fucking tired. I've made a lot of decisions today. I've done quite a bit today. I don't know if I can do Mount Kilimanjaro right now. I think I'm gonna rest on it. Let me go back to base camp. Go back to base camp. Next thing you know, again, you're off willy-nilly. Focused on the next small thing. Smoke and mirrors. Snakes and ladders. It is our selfish nature. That's part of the reason why we're all fucked up. Because we're all selfish, and then there's some people that are selfless. And then, what's left for anybody else? What's left for people to even do? What's left for people to make of the world if this is our shared consensus reality? If our reality is of the nature that it's a dog-eat-dog world out there, then we always just kind of live in, a kind of blanketed, dull fear of one another. Just a constant low state of fight, flight, or freeze. Can't look at each other, can't communicate with each other. And every time that we do look at each other, every time we do communicate with each other, the only sort of signals we ever get to send out are ones that say something like, hi, I'm not a threat to you. Hi, I'm harmless. Hi, don't be alarmed. Hi, disengage. You don't need to fret. You don't need to think of me as something you need to, apply your attention to. Hey, you don't need to actually apply your sort of your mental reserves to me. I don't have to be, I'm trying to disarm you. Hey, every communicative message we send to one another nowadays is, hi, I don't want you to be alarmed. Hey, turn off your sentry guns. Don't blast me away. Hey, I'm not what you should be concerned about. and then it comes down to like, well, what the fuck can we do? Well, what the hell can we actually do? What is there to do? Because I'm just one little dude. I got 2 arms. I got 1 head, 1 chest. Okay, I got 1 chest, but it's fucking chest, dude. What a chest. All my life as a little kid, I wanted to do that little Terry Crews chest pop. The Rock chest pop. I have achieved that status. I've obtained that goal. And you know what? For as pleased of obtaining that goal as I am or whatever, it's like basically nothing now. It's just like how when I was a little kid, I wanted to grow. I wanted to be taller. All of a sudden, I'm an adult. I don't give a shit about how tall I am now. When I was a little kid, oh, dude, I'm going through puberty. I just want fucking pubes. I want facial hair. I want the signals that say I am grown. I want the armpit hair. I want the pubis mound hair. I want the beard. I want the mustache. All of a sudden, I have these things, and this is the fleeting nature of any sort of worldly desire, any sort of like thing that you want out there in the world. Like, these aren't even necessarily goals. I mean, it's like I couldn't will my hair to grow. There wasn't enough biotin I could have taken to get like a 13 to 19-year-old boy to like grow facial hair faster. Like, you just can't. And eventually it's like I have it, and it is what it is. Do I love it? Am I grateful for it? Yes, of course, obviously, apparently, and whatever. But it's ancillary. It's ancillary. It's besides the point. It's visual, it's aesthetic, it's vanity, it's arbitrary. It's when it comes down to what it comes down to, I'm a little dude, and what is important, and
split 6 split.
And what is important, and what can I even do? Right? What can I even do? I feel like that's like what it comes down to. What can I even do? Is there a skill set? What should I do? Right? It's like, what do I dedicate? I have time here. I have time. I have energy. I have a will. I've got all these resources. What the fuck am I gonna do with them? Being a creative, being somebody who just opens their mouth and just, being a creative, you don't make anything. Being a creative person, you make nothing. I'm telling you, the world is already created. The world is already made. You just kind of open your mouth, and then, you're merely the megaphone at which the universal message pours out of you. To the extent of, to the level of at which the aperture that is your whole life, to the extent that you open it or close it. And so, if you feel very clenched of a person and all of this, You open your pinhole camera of a mouth and you just let that be the filter at which life will come out of you. My whole life is like, I'm trying to fucking bust down the beaver dam that has been built up inside of me, break it down and just let the universe flow through me, at which the universe will. And detach myself from the concepts that man has attached to everything that community and society and what life is. Fuck all of the constructs of the man. You should be fearful of this. Oh, you should act in this way. You should. They're gonna think of you like this. And who really cares? Who is willing to try to save our world? Yeah, save our sweet world. Yeah. I'm not trying to want anything in my life anymore. I'm at that goddamn point, the Alan Watts shit, dude. There comes a point where you start desiring not to desire, but you realize that you cannot get away from it at all anyway. You understand the paradoxical, to desire not to desire is to still desire. Well, Jesus Christ. To develop the relationship with myself, bro. I've had such a tyrannical relationship with myself for so fucking long. Like, I don't know how much of my life, the early portion of my life was, people know me already, bro. People know who I am. Okay? I'm timid, quiet guy. I'm shut the fuck up, silent guy. I am hands in pockets kid. I am grayed out, skater, beanie, indie boy. Okay? Just silent. Shush. I grew up, so from 0 to 13, it was a lot of this. Or from 5 to 13, it was that. From 0 to 5, it was boisterous, little flamboyant lover child, flower boy. Smiles all around, dancing and prancing in the meadow. Next thing you know, some older figure says, are you gay? And then you're like, fuck! You're like, God damn it! You were loving life and you were just happy to exist, and then all of a sudden, someone makes you feel self-conscious of just about being bubbly and happy, whatever. For whatever reason that they did that. Okay? And it's not their fault that you became what you became. Right? It's not their fault. I grow and I realize this much is true. The input to anything, it doesn't matter. And I hate that. I hate that so much. Because, before it was easy. Before it was super easy. It was like, well, if the sun is out and we're having a sunny day and there's no clouds in the sky, then I have a good day. And it was a good day and I smiled and it was great and it was lovely and it was awesome. Because the sun was out and there was no clouds. It's easy. That was what I was input with, and so the output was just apparent. It was easy, of course. Good day. But now I realize that didn't matter if the day was cloudy or sunny or hail or hurricane, that, life was what I made it. That just as easily as, somebody, if your dad was a drinker, if your dad was a cigarette smoker, and you have an identical twin, one of you could be addicted to cigarettes, and it's like, well, why are you addicted to cigarettes? Well, because my dad smoked growing up, and so, I smoked cigarettes. And then you ask the other identical twin, it's like, oh, why don't you smoke cigarettes? Why are you straight edge, super sober and dedicated? Well, because my dad, I saw how that fucked him up. And so it's like, yeah, same stimulus, same initial input, different outcome. Life is what you make it. Okay, so from 0 to 5, little flowery, flamboyant, happy, lover boy. The world says, hey. The world challenges you and says, hey, why are you like that? Are you queer? What's queer? Hey, man. 0 to 5 is that. 5 to 13, it's gray, it's skater, it's introversion. And beyond that, I have no idea where I'm going with this. Something about opening the aperture of yourself and allowing the world to express itself using you. Oh yeah, and what I wanted to say is that all of this is just sort of stuff, dude. It's it is the blazar to a quasar. A quasar is a black hole. I think a blazar and a quasar is a black hole that has swallowed a sun. It has swallowed a star. And so the light, the final gleaming light of that star is shooting out of that black hole. And this is what a blazar is? This is what a quasar is? Is that what it is? Ugh. So what I am saying is that this is just stuff. It's all just stuff that I'm enlightened. Alright? I'm enlightened, ho. And that I'm feeling unbearable compassion. There's a little kitty. Hi, baby. Oh my God. It's a little orange one. Or I guess it's more of a plump orange one. What a beautiful creature. Bear with me. I'm gonna be very silent for the foreseeable future. I would love to be able to pet this little kitty. Baby. beautiful animal. That's amazing, dude. Holy shit. That cat, this cat in front of me right here has the most unique face I've... Not unique. This cat... all cats have, like, the same face. This cat does not have the same face. There's like 3 or 4 different cat faces. You've got the cat face for the naked one. You've got the cat face for that one that looks like it got punched in the face and it's all, like, pug-like. You've got the cat face of just, like, a normal orange cat or, like, a gray cat, a tabby cat. You know, just, like, you know, that regular sort of standardized cat face. That cat had one of the greatest cat faces of all time. That cat had one of the greatest cat faces of all time. Dude, he looked so cute. So fucking cute, man. Oh, my God. You know, and so I feel, you know, a sort of kind of unbearable compassion towards the world and my position in it. It's like, you know, I feel like an Englishman in the middle of China where no one speaks English, but we're all human, and I'm just there, and we're just kind of trying our best to communicate with each other, but, you know, there's so much that's gone, you know, there's so much that is just passing between us. I was walking around the other day, and I was the only white person in the middle of a whole bunch of Haitians who were speaking Creole. And, you know, because I've spent some time around Haitians who speak Creole, I mean, I was picking up on a little bit of things that they were saying. But, I mean, for the most part, there was so much that was passing by me that I was like, oh my God, dude, what the... It made me perceive what it is to be a human being in a different way. I was like, just the concept of language, you know, this thing that is so poignant in my life, you know, communications, it just made this whole thing seem like we were all meeting up in some saloon at the edge of a Star Wars galaxy. We're all meeting up in the and there's a whole bunch of just various alien racing, you know, just fuck all these people speaking in different ways, and what even? It's like, it's just a whole bunch of stuff, you know? And I'm there, and I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, everything I've ever wanted in my life, or everything I've ever wanted my life to be, it's, you know, I'm already at the end of time, dude. I'm already at that point that you're supposed to be, you know, you're supposed to be at when you're like 60 years old, 80 years old in Indian culture, you know, where you're an old person and you just go off into the forest and live. Yeah, somehow, you know, I incarnated as this. And yet I've got, oh Lord, I don't know how much time I've got. I don't know why I assume I'm gonna live to 80. I could die today. You don't know, I don't know, we don't know, she don't know. We never believe it, and we don't even think of that as like a possibility. We've got some crazy blind faith that we're just gonna live out our entire potential life. I'm gonna live to 80 whatever. And we take that as like, yep, for sure. For sure gonna do that. I don't know why we do that. But, I mean, I hope. I don't even fucking need to hope, dude. I'm gonna live the fucking life that I'm to live. That is certain. I'm gonna make it out to be as such. Brick by brick, bitch. But not in a contrarian way. I'm not gonna do things to just do them in a sort of arbitrary, I'm doing it because I said I was gonna do it. I'm a rebel and I follow through. I am a line leader. Ho, let's go. I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna make wise decisions, moment to moment. I'm gonna make the smartest decision, and I'm gonna take into account the balance between myself and you, the other. I'm gonna try and cut the peanut butter and jelly sandwich in the most fair way possible, and I'm gonna do it in triangles because they taste better. They taste better when you cut them. When you cut your sandwiches in triangles, they taste better. Facts. No one knows why, but it's true. Triangular shapes are just tastier. The shape of a triangle is tastier than the taste of a rectangle. Everyone knows that. You know, and so I'm at the end of the line here where it's like, I mean, do you want anything for your life? Do I want anything for my life? Do I or do I not want anything for my life? What I want my life to be. You know, I'm at the point where my life is very simple. I have a very simple life. I lived my life in such a way, as I was saying, you know, I remembered the plot point of what I was going to say way back when I said the whole 0 to 5 thing, from 5 to 13 thing, you know, and from 17 to like 25, you know, my life was sort of predicated on this ever-growing tyrannical person inside of me. This kind of person that was like, well, I'm definitely gonna be tyrannical. You know, I'm gonna pull myself up by my bootstraps. I'm gonna you know, it doesn't matter how hard. The thing is, I'm gonna do it. And just, you know, Saving Private Ryaning myself. Just throwing myself on the endless slew of grenades that the matrices of life would provide situations for me to do such that, Go in and just stick my hand in the meat grinder to get the thing to stop. I'm the hero. Look at my sacrifice. Look at my character. I am willing to endure things. I learned this the other day. At some point, what you sacrifice, when you're constantly doing things for others, at some point, what you sacrifice is yourself. When you're constantly looking after others and you're looking out for what other people need, at some point, what you end up sacrificing is yourself. I've been trying to make smarter decisions. I've been trying to make decisions that align with what I think is the divinity and some kind of clairvoyant path of the universe. The Tao, I try and pay attention very closely. And move in a conscious way.
Split 7.
Because I'm a man, bro. I'm a man. I've got all these things, whether it be programming or whatever, I've got all these sort of things put upon my back and just thrown into my DNA structure, bro. They're in the strands of my fucking DNA. Truly. To the point where I don't know what some of these inputs are, have been externally placed upon me, or if they are intrinsic and they're really mine. Really in there, things like that I have to have a certain kind of financial success to be, someone of value, someone of worth, and how much of this is right, how much of this is wrong, how much of this is like, my sort of, my own sort of insecurity that is, that it's the truest of truths, how much... and how much of that is actually worth a damn? How much of that is actually worth a damn compared to, how much of whatever it is that I'm hearing am I just blowing off because it is something that I don't like to hear? Is there something of value in it that is the truest of truths, or is there something in it that I am missing that... Fucking hell. Well, how about you just break it down to like the most fundamental things that right? Break it down to what you know. Bite-sized pieces, something manageable. How about we start there? I do not want to spend my time ever doing I do not want to have a normal life. Okay, I don't want to have the normal 2026 life of man, The 2026 life of man is have a job that you settle for. Your best hope is to do something that, you try and spend as little amount of time as possible doing the things that you don't want to do to sort of kind of sustain you, to keep you surviving, but kind of there on the brink of death. I'm going to learn from my experience. I'm going to apply knowledge to this situation. Before I spoke on, if I'm always about these sort of selfish desires, if we're always thinking about just how can I put sustenance in this fucking mouth, this one fucking mouth, and I could just perpetuate this life, if my whole energy, if my whole focus turns on this, then, I only ever get these kinds of roots, these kinds of outcomes, these kinds of situations, these kinds of lives. And so, fuck that whole sort of dialogue about, what's my career? What's my job? How am I going to spend my time? How am I going to move? Fuck that. Okay? Every little tidbit of time that I spend thinking about that and all the ideas surrounding that are moments that take away from any sort of higher ordinance ideas. Any other, and it's like, well, okay, lovely. That sounds beautiful. Sounds beautiful! Well, then what's the purpose now, then? What's the point now, right? If we're trying to get at concepts, if we're trying to get at interesting ideas or whatever, or, I'm trying to think of things never thought of, well, where do we go, right? Where do we go from here? Think things never thought of. Live a life I could be proud of. I am going to live my life by the seat of my pants. Just for today. Just for the next moment. Just for this moment right now, right here. I'm going to live my life by the seat of my pants. And I'm going to execute on all my desires. All right, all the ways that I want to live my life, I'm going to live my life, and I'm allowing myself in just in this moment, of course, to I'm going to enable myself to do such that. I know I spoke about the devil and enabling. That was like the very first thing I spoke about. I recognize my relationship with God. I recognize my relationship with the devil. It's not one of complete blind faith. It is a relationship, okay, which means that it's a dialogue, which means that it's communicative, okay? And so when God says, hey, step on that caterpillar, I say, God, are you retarded? What's wrong with you? I don't allow whatever the concept of God is in my own sort of making of what God is to be some fucking, just like, Allah Akbar, just fucking jihadist. Just like, yeah, I don't allow my concept of God to be sort of almighty, all-knowing, just always right off the bat kind of thing, dude. My relationship with God is one where we're homies, okay? And we're steel sharpening steel. Okay, he gives me an idea, I play with it. He says, do this. I say, let me think about it. Because something funny about God. If your mind has anything to do with God, hey, that was God's like last sort of resort. That was God's version of snail mail. God lives in light speed. Okay? There's a term for this. It's actually called Godspeed, my friend. It's beyond light speed, dude. It's interdimensional. And you think he's going to come at you in the realm of your own mind? In the realm of thought forms? In English? In a sentence? In a command? In the language that you understand? No, dude. He's going to give you a forever fractal sort of 10,000 point perspective image at which you can look at from all, any perspective in time and all these angles and this and that. And it's beyond words. And you think he's going to tell you to behave in such a way in your mind? Ludicrous. Godspeed, ho. That's what I'm talking about. All right, so this has been interesting, has it not? Are you not entertained? I wonder myself, is there something that I am missing here? Did I say everything that I possibly could want to have said, in one, were the batteries included in this toy? Or do you gotta go and get the batteries from some other place right now? This is my, are you sure you want to continue? Yes or no screen right here. This is that. I'm at a fork in the road. A decision is to be made. Will I or will I not continue with this voice memo in this instant? Well, yeah, I am, and I'm going to do something polarizing, okay? I'm going to do something taboo. Dude. You ever hear a man tinkle out here in the middle of a field in the middle of the night? Not gonna pee all the way. I'm gonna save those little. I'm gonna save the reserve electrolytes. Keep those in my system. Don't need to completely empty out the bladder. You don't have to let all the air out of the bagpipe when you're playing, all right? And that's just something I learned along the journey, All right. So, that being said, I'm gonna Yes, before I go, I just wanted to touch on the whole topic of faith, of intuition, of enabling yourself the sort of grace to live your life in the present moment of things. It's like, there was a long time in my life where I just kept moving forward. I just kept going. Inertia, momentum. Just keep going. Activity, motion, move, go. Now that there's a slang term. Say, oh, he got motion. First of all, that might be one of my favorite slang terms ever since swag, schwag, and gnarly. Bodacious and cool. Cool is timeless. Cool is amazing. Anyways, motion. Oh, bro, kid got motion. I like that. Anyways, so caught up in motion, so caught up in momentum and moving and inertia and going. In my mind, for the longest time in there, I was caught up in the trap and just stuck, not trusting my own sense of stopping. Dude, just fucking going. Gone. I think in the moment of things, I was so scared of taking control of my own life, piloting my own life at that point in time, that I had, things had to move on. Things had to keep going. The show must move on. I couldn't just stop right there. What do you mean, stop right there? If I stop right there, that means my whole life stops. My whole life is predicated on going. My whole life is predicated on the moving forward of this thing right here. What the fuck do you mean stop? I can't even fathom that. Dude, and that's because my whole life was built on this house of cards. Are you kidding me? My whole life was predicated on something that, supported, leaning on something that was so shoddy, something so so weakly structured that if I stopped in that moment of things, the whole thing would have collapsed, and, it would have been that point in Inception where he's like, hey, you're in a dream. What? We're in a dream? The fruit stand explodes. What do you mean? What are you talking about? That 5 minutes was an hour. What? Time doesn't move the same in that dimension? What? And that was a scary jump. That was a scary jump for me. But that's what my life is. My life is the bloodhound, figuring out, following that trail, following that fucking dream-like scent. I'm here to follow that fucking dream-like scent. There was a whole load of time in my life where I would have that it'd be the Jiminy Cricket, bro. It would be the voice in my consciousness that would say, we're not doing this right, or what the fuck are we doing, or just hearing all the kind of feedback of like an internal dimension. And just always going against that voice. Just basically saying, yo, just shut the fuck up. Go along to get along. We're going along. We're going to get along, okay? Just shut the fuck up. Act like you've been here before. Just shut the fuck up. Why are you Dude, don't point out the problems. I know on the sign they said join the dark side. We've got cookies. But look, we've got cookies. Be grateful for the cookies. And just this kind of like toxic gratitude. That's what I'll call it. toxic gratitude. You know, you be so grateful. You better damn be grateful for what you got. It could be worse. Meanwhile, I mean, you're so caught up in the toxic gratitude of it could be worse. And you're like, yeah, it could be worse. You feel guilty. You feel ashamed of even thinking that it could be better. Right? You never apply yourself to the possibility that it could be better, and that you have a participation in making it such that. You're so caught up in the voices of guilt and shame and embarrassment of, man, I mean, how can I ever be so, you know, how can I take this for granted, man? I'm a bad person. I'm a bad person. I wasn't grateful for what I had. I'm a bad person, man. I wanted more. I wanted better. I wanted different. And how dare I think that exists out there? And you get gaslit into, that's what gaslighting is. You get gaslit into a whole world where you're the bad guy for even thinking that there is some lunacy and some horseshit happening. And you can fall prey, you can fall victim to that for a long, long time. And so for a long, long time, I did such that too. Under the lull, under the spell, under the belief system that life is as life is, and that all the ways that life was is the way that life is, and that there is no such thing as, you know, a life, the potentiality to make life something other than how you know it, but rather to be in a way that you'd like it to be more like. Quentin Tarantino used to work at a movie theater, a DVD store. And he loved this. You know, he thought to himself, well, it's dream adjacent, right? I want to make movies, but, you know, this is close to it. You know, I get to watch movies all day. I get to talk about movies all day. I get to spend my time with all these people who love movies and recommend movies to other people. And it's dream adjacent. I mean, it's not exactly what I want to do, but it's close. And he mentions that he fell asleep for a few years. Dude, I say you've it is imperative, bro. Make it your life mission to live out the unique, peculiar, particular sort of life that God himself, the universe at large, is beckoning you to do. There exists out there a world, you know, a sort of clairvoyant path before you that it always sort of goads you on to peel back the layers of consensus reality, to give somebody an experience, to give yourself and someone else an experience of something otherworldly. And usually what these experiences are, they are they're in direct opposition of all the ways that, you know, we just sort of anticipate things to be. It's always a call to your courage. It's always a call to your obedience of that. And it's always a call. It says, hey, it says, yo, how serious are you going to take your life this time? How much of a round SpongeBob are you going to come off this time? Hi, how are ya? With how much force are you going to sort of apply yourself to the fabric of space-time? And sort of rub yourself off like the graphite that you are to paint some kind of image. Hey, dude, this is the funny ways in which we behave as a society, as a community with one another. Funny or weird, isn't it? Don't you think? You're gonna operate in direct perpendicularity to that. Perpendicularity. What a fucking word that one is. Perpendicularity. Man, I love English, bro. Perpendicularity. Alright, so I just wanted to get to the point. Where my watch, it says, hey, 8 miles. Just so you know that I really do this. Do you know why I do that? Because it's a status symbol. It's an arbitrary status symbol. It paints me in a certain light.
Split 8. Split pace. 20.
That's right. Split 8. You know what that means? If you know, you know. But if you really know, then you really know. Right? There are some people out there that think to themselves, they're going to think to themselves that is something that means anything. They're going to come at that with the sort of perspective that's, oh, wow, you walk 8 miles a day? You just walked 8 miles? Oh my God, that's like really something. Or like, how do you do that? Or, something like that. But if you know, then you know. It's like the things that you do, you can't help but do them. It's like it's not anything that's supposed to be impressive at all. I don't do it for the, hey, yes, be impressed by this. It's like, this is my version of cigarettes. This is my weed, okay? This is how I get high. This is my coping mechanism. I go for a walk and I go for a talk. And this is, oh my God, and this is like workaholism. This right here, I don't know exactly what this is. I find this to be beneficial, but I find this to be like the concept of workaholism. It's like It's an addiction that's accepted. You can be obsessed with work. You can be obsessed with work in the same way that a stoner is obsessed with weed. And, a lot more people will look at you with reverence. It's only people who have been workaholics themselves and have found themselves, through the other side of that can ever see it for what it truly is. Okay. Anywho, I mean, this has been what it has been, and I think in conclusion here, what I will say is that I need to curb my own enthusiasm. That I can't live with the worldview that, oh, dude, this video is going to be the video, dude. This is going to be the video that changes my life. This is the video that blows me up. This is the video that gets me to where I am supposed to be. This is Bitcoin back before it blew up. This is GameStop stock right before it blew itself to the moon. Right? This is pre-blessed food. This is about to go viral. This is world star. This is that I can't, I'm not to view it as such. That, this has to be just another input. Like, whether, it's just stuff. Like, whether it be the cautionary tale that, makes somebody not do something, or it becomes the sort of like tale of a role model that, pushes somebody in the direction of, gives somebody the sort of pat on the back, like, hey, yeah, platinum 9 3/4, ho. Run right through that thing. Platinum 9 3/4 right there. And hopefully it's that, because that's a world of magic and a world of perception that is just always beyond your grasp. It is a fun game. It is a fun laser show game where you're playing and you can't hold on to it, but it's a game and it's fun to play. And it's better to think that the red light of the laser pointer is some kind of Schmeagol. Precious, I haven't. The point isn't to have it. The point is to feel like a fucking ninja as you're jumping from wall to wall. Looking from wall to wall. From wall to wall. Like a fucking ninja. Okay, that's... Yes. Okay, so I'm gonna get out of here. And my day, God bless you. May we give it to the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. May our paths be illuminated with love, with the ability to make the right decision for ourselves and all sentient life. May we make wise decisions today. May we, ever so slightly, infinitesimally small, at the end of our day, 24 hours from this point, can we look in the mirror and say, hey, did you get better today? Was today a good day? And you can say, yes, we got better today. Yes, today was a good day. No, today wasn't a good day. Today was a great day, you fucking beautiful person, you. Good day. Great day. It's a good day to make it a great day. Make it a great day. Okay. So, yes, let's go. Okay. Thank you. Goodbye.